So I'd like to welcome you along to today's live Sage 1 Accounts Extra webinar for accountants and bookkeepers in practice. My name is Liz and it's my pleasure to spend the next 45 minutes taking you through the benefits of Sage 1 Accounts Extra for you and your clients. This is an interactive session, so if you think of any questions on the way through the presentation today, then please just type them into the WebEx chat panel, which can be accessed along the top of your screen, and I'll read them out and do my best to answer them at the end of today's session. So the aim of today's session is to give you a look at Sage 1 Accounts Extra and to see how it could benefit your clients. I'll take you through how easy the software is to use and the additional features available over the other accounting variants of Sage 1. Once you've seen it in action, I'll remind you of your next steps following today's presentation, and in return for this free session, all I ask is for a few minutes of your time at the end to provide me with your feedback. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra, it's the newest addition to our Sage 1 family of software. It is cloud-based bookkeeping software and it's been shaped round about the feedback that you've provided. It's designed for small businesses and it integrates with other online software. It provides a lot of help to get your clients up and running, and it's all backed up by 24/7 telephone support. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra, it is online account software and it's designed, as the name suggests, for your small business clients that need something a bit extra. So small businesses, those that are VAT registered, maybe those that want to generate quotes, if you've got any clients that trade abroad, or if they maybe manage more than one business, if they want to be able to do a wee bit more detailed analysis on their reports. Obviously they want to be able to keep track of their cash flow, if they've got more than one person that's going to be using it, and maybe if they want to limit those users' access to different modules within the software. And obviously because it's online, you can manage it from multiple locations as well. So if you've got any clients that fit into one of those or more of categories, then Sage 1 Accounts could be absolutely perfect for them. So what are the benefits for your practice? So it is really easy to get your clients set up. I do run a separate session on a Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And I'll send you out details tomorrow of how to book onto that if you've not been on that session already. But that does cover how to get your clients set up on Sage 1. It also allows you to have bespoke chart of accounts for your clients. So you can obviously work with them at the outset to make sure that the chart of accounts reflects what their business actually does, and to make sure that you obviously get the right output at the end of the day as well. You can have real-time access to your clients' data, so no travelling back and forward to their office to complete things on their machines. And it also reduces admin time, so if they send you in backups, for example, then that will be in there live in a real-time environment. Excuse me while my printer kicks into action. You've also got live cash flow reporting, so you can see at any point in time how the cash flow of the business is, and obviously what it is looking like over the next month or so. There's flexible analysis reporting, which we'll look at as part of the demonstration, so you can really tailor the analysis levels that you and your client decide that would be applicable for that business. So again, a good idea to sit down and work through that with your client so that they've got a good understanding as well of why they're putting that level of analysis on each of their transactions. You've got the ability to export to Excel and PDF, and we know how everyone likes Excel, so you've still got the ability to send it out to Excel and to manipulate it in other ways that are suitable for you. And you can lock down the year end, so it means that if you've maybe done the year end and you don't want the client to be able to process anything prior to the year end, then you can put in a lockdown date and it will be locked so that no future transactions can be entered into that closed off period. With Sage 1 Accounts Extra, you're also provided with a full detailed audit trail and that includes any deleted transactions as well. And you'll be pleased to see at the bottom that you can be rewarded for promoting Sage 1. So we do have the option of joining what's called the Sage 1 Referral Partner Programme. So as a referral partner, you can promote Sage 1 to people you know or your clients and anyone else in your wider network. And you can earn up to 40% of what they spend with us every month. So this is covered in more detail in the other webinar that I do on the Tuesday. Or feel free to email the team directly if you have any questions about that. The email address is on the screen at the moment. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra is an online accounting service designed for growing businesses that want to trade abroad, control shared access, and also get some additional insight into the financial forecasts. So in terms of managing more than one business, so if you've got any clients that are involved in any more than one venture, and for tax and legal reasons you need to account for them separately, then this is the ideal solution. So with Sage 1 Accounts Extra, you can set up multiple businesses and manage them with one single login. It's easy to manage international trading. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra makes it really easy to keep track of foreign sales, purchases and VAT. You can produce invoices in foreign currencies or enter invoices received from foreign suppliers. And exchange rates and gains and losses are automatically calculated. And Sage 1 will also help you comply with VAT law on selling goods and services inside and outside of the EU. You can record sales and purchases in multiple currencies. Exchange rates and exchange rate gains and losses are calculated automatically, and you can calculate VAT for EU and non-EU sales and purchases. You can control multi-user access, so as the business grows, your client may realise that they can't do everything themselves, but they still want to maintain that control over their financial affairs. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra opens up business accounts to multiple users while offering control over exactly what each person can see and do. So not only does it allow trusted users secure access to the account's data, but you can control exactly what each person can see and do, and you can maintain an audit trail to see what's happened and when. In terms of planning for the future with financial forecasts, we know that a cash flow is critical for any business. So not only does Sage 1 Accounts Extra provide an accurate and up-to-date picture of the current cash available today, but it also forecasts the future cash flow position over the coming months. So it allows you to estimate how much cash the business will have or need, and you can use recurring items as well to calculate net cash flow, so you don't need to process the same things every month. And you can also tailor the forecasts to suit the business needs. In terms of analysing the business performance, so when it comes to analysing costs and profits, you may want to break that down by things such as department or project or market sector or any other variables that are suitable for your client's business. So Sage 1 Accounts Extra gives you complete flexibility to define how to analyse your accounts, to see which areas of the business are performing well and where there's scope for improvement. You also get access to quick entry tools, which allows you to enter high volumes of data, such as bulk purchases or invoices. Enter high volumes of data in one line, saving time and reducing errors. And customizable views means that users can quickly see the information that they need, prioritising what's important to them and eliminating any other distractions. And to help speed up bank reconciliation, you can now import business banking statements and automatically match them up with the account's information. So we'll now jump into the demonstration of Sage 1 itself. So from the Sage 1 site, which is simply sage1.com, you'll sign in and you'll sign into what's called the Accountants edition. And again, the Tuesday session covers the Accountants edition in a bit more detail. I know that's wrong, that password that I just typed. There we go. So I now have Sage 1 Accountant Edition open in front of me. So I will go and open up the client that I manage in the Sage 1 Accounts Extra. And I'll be presented with my client summary screen first of all, so I can collaborate with my client through here. I can send documents securely backwards and forwards. I can review their subscription and their details. I can edit the client in here as well. But for today's purposes, we'll simply go up to the top right hand corner and we'll log in to the accounts themselves. So when you open up Sage 1 Accounts Extra, you're greeted, you'll be pleased to know, first of all, under your Summary tab, you'll notice that we have a very comprehensive Getting Started area. So this is all of the key information about your client's business. And I would obviously recommend that you sit with your client and get this all set up correctly at the outset, so that the client is on board with why they're doing what they're doing as part of their daily processing. And obviously to make sure that you're getting the right results out at the end in terms of the reporting element, so you as the accountant are getting the reports that you require. So your business information, fairly straightforward. Your financial settings in there, so if I just pop you into here first of all, this is where you would set your year-end lockdown date. The HMRC user ID is saved in here, the VAT scheme, so it can manage cash, standard and flat rate accounting. And then you'll notice this is where we enable foreign currency transactions. So my lovely client, Head in the Clouds, that I have set up for this demonstration is called Julie. Julie's a freelance hairdresser, so she travels all over the world, some very exclusive clients, should we say, and I've just put in the different currencies that she trades in here simply just by selecting them from the drop down list. And you'll be also pleased to see that we have live exchange rates. So you simply tick the box and it will pick up the exchange rate at the day of that transaction. Now, when it comes to the transaction level, you can obviously override that if you know for some reason that that transaction has to be processed at a different exchange rate. And then you've got the ability in here to just confirm the accounts that are going to be used for any exchange charges and your any gains or losses on exchange as well. Setting up the chart of accounts is really straightforward. You can refine the accounts that you want to review. So if I choose that I just want to review my sales categories, for example, then you can see in there the different nominal ledger codes and ledger names. And then the display name is actually what gets displayed. So when the client looks at their drop-down lists, it's this description here. And for any of your items on your ledger, then you have the ability to have a ledger name and a display name. So as I said, this could be something maybe a bit more accountancy related. So trade debtors or something, and then your display name could be sales invoices that haven't yet been paid, for example, just to make it less of an accounting jargon at their end. The visibility of this nominal code, you can select what's applicable for the relevant code. So that's your chart of accounts. Your invoice settings, then we have some really nice features within invoice settings. So there's 4 default templates from the invoice point of view, so I can simply click through them and you'll see what the different layouts look like. They've all got a really nice, clean, modern feel about them, and your client would simply just choose the one that they prefer for their business layout. The next invoice number, so if they're moving over from a different system, that's all in there. They'll simply type in what their terms and conditions are. But you'll also have the ability in here to upload your company logo, so it will appear automatically on every invoice, whether it's printed or emailed, and any association logos that are applicable, you can have up to 2 in there as well. You'll notice straight away that we also have access to produce quotes in Sage 1 Accounts Extra. So we have our quote options and our quote text, and just simply at the bottom, just your EU descriptions in there. Your default settings and preferences will be in there, and then your analysis category. So a really great feature to have within Accounts Extra is the ability to break down your transactions into different types of analysis. So there's 3 different categories available. Now examples, obviously things such as departments. I've changed departments to be hairstylists in this case. Cost centres could be one of them, so you can set up. And then I've also got one which is called projects, but the only one that I use for this client is hairstylist. If I've taken on another hairstylist, then I can come in and add in their name. And then I can continue on. So again, there's no restriction in the number that you can have within this drop down as well. In use simply means that I've put a transaction against Julie Jones analysis. And at the bottom, you'll see that you can select the active areas for this analysis type. So group analysis just allows you to group items into different categories. So customer group, supplier group, product group are just examples which you can obviously just overwrite. So I've used in my example the product group one, and I've split my products into 3 different categories, but obviously I can go on and add in as many of them as required. So I've got shampoo, conditioner and styling products, and again all of them are in use, and again I can select the active areas for those analysis types. So all of this analysis just means that whenever you process a transaction or you create a product, you can then put it into the correct category, and then when it comes to your reporting, you're able to report at that level as well. So it is really flexible. Moving down, having a look at setting up users. So as I mentioned, you can set up as many users as are required to access your account system or your client's account system. So you simply invite a user, put in their email address. If they're a system manager, then they have the ability to add in other users and manage other users as well. And then for each of your users, you can specify their level of access. Now the help system tells you exactly what each of these relates to. So if we went for restricted access, you can see in each of the modules what that relates to. Or you can have custom access, where you can select exactly what level. And again, the help system will tell you exactly from a sales module point of view what restricted access means. Very easy to get any additional users set up, and then they would just log in with their own email address and password, and they would only be able to access the elements that you have given them access to. Setting up your records so you can have multiple bank accounts, that's not something that's new for Accounts Extra. Same with customer records and supplier records, so any specific credit terms for those different organisations can be input in there, and products and services. So there's nothing new in there compared to the other versions of Sage 1. If we have a quick look at products, then you'll see if I was to go into my shampoo, for example, number 1, you can see the ledger account and the VAT rate against it. You can specify the description against the price as well, so it's simply just the sales price. You could make it something more suited to your client's business. Description, and then the purchase default, so when you're buying in that product, the cost price, and then any notes against it. And you'll notice that we also, because I use the analysis categories, I also have the ability to pop that item into my product group of shampoo products. And if you're ever unsure what any of these things relate to, then you've got a handy wee question mark at the end that you can hover over, and it will give you some more information. Setting up opening balances is just as you would expect, very straightforward, takes you through step by step getting all of them set up. Anything, if you've got any customer transactions, then it will automatically create the trade debtor balance based on that individual item as well. And if you want to be able to mark the transactions off individually, then you can input them as separate lines, and then it means when you're coming to do your bank reconciliation for any outstanding items, then you can mark them off individually as well. And your aged debtors report, so you can make sure that your figures are then accurate on each of them as well. So that's an overview of your getting started. You've got a way of accessing some quick dashboards. So this is your summary of your sales. So you get a nice snapshot. You can choose the date range and then simply just refresh. And then you can see any overdue sales invoices, anything that's outstanding, and how your quotes are spread between won, pending, expired and lost. Your top customers, your top debtors, and your VAT returns as well. So you can manage the full VAT return process through here. So if we were to run a VAT return, for example, here's one that I've drafted earlier in good old Blue Peter style. So you've got details, obviously it's got the relevant rate. You can then, when you're happy with all of the transactions, you can view the detailed report if you wish, and that gives you the nice breakdown of every single transaction that makes up that VAT return. So you can see in box 6 the transactions that are applicable in there. And it's just a PDF, so it's easy to save to your own system if you require. And then when you're happy with that, you can either submit directly to the government gateway through here, and your ID and your password will be in there. And you will need to input, your ID can be saved as part of the settings, but the password will need to be entered. Submit to HMRC by other means, or you can save the return, you'll be pleased to know, and return to it at a later date. Purchases tab, again a nice snapshot of the business. With a view of anything that's outstanding on a percentage basis, any overdue purchase invoices, so we're very good at paying in this business. Breakdown by ledger account, so you get a nice wee graph of how your expenditure has been spent. Your top suppliers, top creditors, and again a quick access through to your VAT return at that stage as well. And then that moves us nicely onto our cash flow. So you'll see in graphical format, and if you hover over it, will tell you the exact value at that point in time. Now you can select the relevant bank accounts that you want to have as part of the cash flow that's been analysed at that stage, and you can refine it in that manner. And then you can see your opening balance, your cash flow in and out, your closing balance, any liability which has been to offset, and then your net cash flow balance at the end. You can produce your cash flow statement report through this window or through your reporting tab as well. There's a quick access to it through there though. And then once you've got it in the report format, you can view the detail breakdown. So if you want to see the detailed transactions that make up the cash flow, then you can do that in there, which you can export if you wish to CSV or PDF, or again you can simply export that report to PDF. So that's your cash flow statement, and then we'll move on to your cash flow forecast. So based on the transactions that we know are about to occur in the business, we'll have our opening balance on the selected bank account, so if we include our Royal Bank in there. Any cash flow that's expected to come in from customer receipts, so that will be based on the terms of the individual invoices. Any cash flow out, but you also have the ability to put in any manual adjustments and any payroll costs for the forecast period, so things that you know that are going to occur that obviously the Sage 1 accounts would not be aware of. That gives you your closing balance and your liability to offset of your VAT in this case, and then your net liability for that period. And again, you can select the relevant period for your cash flow forecast. Again, you can pop through and produce that as a report. You can also get your detailed breakdown, and you can export it to CSV or PDF. So that's an overview of your summary tab. From the sales point of view, a nice couple of additions within here with Accounts Extra. Sales invoices are pretty similar to as they were before, but I'll go through one just to show you what that would look like. We've also introduced quick entries, so this is like batch processing, and also the introduction of quotes as well. So we have a look at sales invoices first of all. You'll notice there's a couple of invoices that I have created already. So if I click onto my invoice to Nicole, you'll see the layout of the invoice. I have the ability up the top to manage the invoice. So email or PDF, so I will PDF it in a moment just so you can see what that looks like. But you'll notice that this is an invoice. This customer is based in the US, so we have produced this invoice in dollars at the relevant exchange rate at that point in time. Obviously it has been paid. There was a difference in the exchange rate between the invoice date and the payment date, so that has ended up on our TB and in our accounts obviously for the difference in exchange, gain or loss on that as well. So a nice simple input to the invoice, and then if I was to simply click and create a PDF version of the invoice at this stage, just to show you roughly what it would look like. I'll just make it slightly smaller for you. So just producing it on the email, the invoice template that I had selected earlier on. Now, a couple of things to note. I mentioned that Sage 1 Accounts Extra can interact with other online software. If your client has a Google account, then they'll have access to Google Drive, which is just online storage facility. So we can integrate directly with Google Drive. So whenever an invoice or a credit note is created, or a quote to that matter as well, is created, then you have the ability to automatically save that invoice as a PDF into your Google Drive. So it just makes it really easy if you use, I've got the Google Drive app for example on my phone, so I can just click in there and I see all of my Sage invoices going through, copies of them in PDFs. Quite handy if you're out and about. And the other integration that we offer is the link with Sage Pay. So Sage Pay is the ability to process credit card payments, so either over the phone or over the internet. So what we can do is we can embed a Pay Now button within this invoice. So if you were emailing this invoice over to a customer, then they would simply open it up, click on the Pay Now button, and it would pop up with the Sage Pay window with all of the credit card screen for them to simply input their payment details at that stage. So it does improve your cash flow if you make it much easier for your customers to pay. So if you do have any clients that maybe have an internet shop, an online shop or something, then that might be something you could have a chat to them about. Credit notes are pretty similar. I'll show you quick entries. So to create a quick entry, then in there, simply put in the date, select the relevant customer, give it a reference if required. What type of quick entry is it? What type of sale? We'll just put product sale in this case. So there's our excuse me, analysis categories coming through. So we'll just put it to James, net amount, and the VAT will be calculated, and then you just continue on in your grid system and add in as many entries as required against the year. And then last but not least in the sales is the ability to produce quotations. So you'll notice here's one that I've created earlier for Davina. So I can open up that quote. Once it's open, I can review it, so I can manage the quote in here. I can produce a copy of it, so I can duplicate it. I can email it, PDF it. I can then transfer it into an invoice, so if it's a quote that we've won, or if unfortunately it's been declined, then I can set the quote as declined. And you can still edit it as required at this point as well. And it'll update straight away. I can save the changes, and if I just PDF that quote, and there's your quote coming through there with all of the details that were agreed at the time. So I could create an invoice based on that quote as well. Purchases are very similar. Again, you have the ability to do your batch entry through quick entries with them. Contacts, so customers and suppliers. So this is one of the areas where you can import information in. So if your client has their contacts set up in Outlook, for example, you could export from Outlook into a CSV format, and then you could import into here. And we do provide you with the suitable template to be able to do that as well. So there's your CSV template available as well in there. Quick access again, excuse me, through to your products and services. And then from your banking point of view, if we click onto our current accounts, now you can set up as many accounts as required for your clients, or obviously your client can set them up themselves. So in the bank accounts area, I can create any payments, any receipts, or I can do my bank transfer through here as well. If I want to make a payment, then I simply click Create Payment. You can put in the relevant supplier at that point. So if you start typing, then you'll come up with the relevant supplier. You can make your supplier payment, and it will come up with any outstanding amounts in there. And this is in euros, so you can leave it and select amounts that's obviously left to be allocated as well. So if we have a look at, we'll just make it today's payment date. We'll say that it was me that took the payment. We will take the payment of, it's the opening balance that's left to be created. So the exchange rate from today will pop up, which you can leave it as I said, or you can overwrite it. If you know that you have currency charges to apply to that, then please do so at that time. And then you can select that amount in there. and you can save your item. So there's your supplier payments created. You can also reconcile your bank, obviously. So if you click on the reconcile button, it will take you through doing your manual reconciliation. So where you put in your statement dates, your end balance, any particular reference which you can apply, and then obviously you can add in your interest and charges, and you can select whether you want to view all entries or just anything that hasn't yet been reconciled. Now you may have noticed, eagle-eyed among you, that you can choose from the drop down to import the statement. So if you can export from the online bank in a QUIF or OFX format, I think it is, again it will tell you and help if my terminology is not quite spot on, but apparently it's something that you can do for most bank accounts. If you bank online, then you'll be able to import your statement in, and then all of your statement items will pop up down in the left hand side here, and then you can select the process that you want to go through with each of them. So if you want to match it to an existing transaction, then you can click on there and you can take it through and match it. Or if it's something that's not in your accounts as yet, then you can either create another payment or a transfer, all the way down with all of the relevant items, and then complete. So some lovely functionality in the banking section of Sage 1 accounts, just to make it much easier for the clients to manage their own bank. If you've seen any of the other variants of Sage 1, you'll know that journals was never something that we allowed clients to have access to, but Sage 1 Accounts Extra we do. So they can create their own journals, and you can simply come in here and create a journal, give it a reference, a description if required, and then you just choose from the drop down where you're moving things about to and from. You can tick if you want this journal to be included in the VAT return, and as long as your journal balances, then you'll be able to save it. And then from a reporting point of view, we've had a look at doing your VAT return, so just your general reporting, everything that as you would expect, and in any of these reports you can drill down to the underlying information. Audit trail, so we do have a full audit trail in here, which will now show you everything that I've been doing as well over the last 20 minutes or so. And you can export, and you choose whether you want to export it as a CSV or as a PDF. Your balance sheet report is in there. We've had a look at your cash flow side of things. Your EC sales analysis report is in there as well, and your trial balance. So anything like that that you want to be able to show broken down by the types of analysis categories that you've set up, then you can do so. So if we were to have a look at the profit and loss report, for example, then I can click on to refine the P&L. Now obviously you've still got the normal ability to click and drill down on any of those lines, but if you were to look at your hairstylist, and to look at just Julie Jones, then you'll see exactly what her sales and any of her expenses were as well, to make the profit only applicable to her and her analysis category. Your profit analysis report is a nice one. It just displays it compared to the cost of the items as opposed to obviously what you sold them at. So you can see the amount of profit that's created. Obviously any kind of service line, so cost price is not available for anything that you have set up as or invoiced as a service, so such as the hairdressing in here. And then another handy report is your unreconciled bank transactions report as well. So a nice array of reports which can all be tailored to suit you and your client's requirements from a business point of view, so we can make those informed decisions about where the business should be going and what you should be looking at reviewing going forward. So from our annual Pulse survey from 2013, we know that your clients want to work more closely with you. So when SMEs were asked how their relationship with their accountant could be improved, the top answers were more frequent contact by phone or email, followed closely by getting to know their business better. So what if you, as the accountant, could have secure access to their live financial data? You can keep an eye on the numbers so that they can get on with running their business. And we know that businesses that have the right information at their fingertips can make the right decisions. And then with you there to support them, you can help them grow their business by making it easier to plan for the future, because the information they have today is the key to tomorrow's success. So this the setup with Stage 1 Accounts Extra obviously makes it really easy for you to have secure access to their live financial data so that they can rely on you to be there for them. Now, the Sage Accountants Club Online is a new variant of the Sage Accountants Club, which is available completely free of charge. So that gives you access to the Sage 1 Accountants Edition completely free of charge as well. From a client's point of view, they can trial any of the variants of Sage 1 completely free for 30 days. And for you to share with them and to give them a bit more information on Sage 1, there's lots of PDF brochures for you to download on the Sage Exchange website. And you can access Sage Exchange once you're a member of the Sage Accounts Club Online. Also from the Pulse survey, both accountants and SMEs agreed that the most important skill that makes an excellent accountant in the current business climate is cost effectiveness. Providing sound business advice and speed of turnaround were also cited as both as being important. So you know that there is the free 30-day no commitment trial in there, and it's just a 1 month rolling contract, so clients aren't tied in for any length of time. The ongoing payments are made by direct debit, and full UK-based support is included with the licence. And that's over the phone, so if you want to maybe note down these numbers for future reference, the telephone number is 0845 111 6611 for Sage 1 support, and you can email the team support@sage1.com. The cost of Sage 1 Accounts Extra is £25 per month, and that's obviously for your unlimited users. And if your client does manage any more than one business, then it's a reduced price for any additional businesses that they require of only £18 per month. And those prices exclude VAT. So hopefully you now have a good understanding of Sage 1 Accounts Extra and enough knowledge to be able to recommend it as a good solution for a particular client. So what's next? Well, please do give us a call to get set up with your free access to Sage 1 Accountants Edition. Set up your practice profile on the Sage 1 directory to generate new clients, and I will send you an email tomorrow morning with details of how to set up your practice in the Sage 1 directory. And please do make use of the resources on our Exchange website to tell your existing and your prospect clients about Sage 1. Now, we'd also be happy to run a Sage 1 seminar at your own practice, and we would do that completely free of charge. So again, just let us know when you phone in if this is something that you would like to arrange. So when I do email you tomorrow morning, I will include a link to a recorded version of this session and a brochure which includes a variant grid, so you can see what features are in what versions of Sage 1. So before we all run away and put the kettle on, as I'm sure we could all do with a cup of tea now, we do really value your suggestions. So can I ask you to please spare 2 minutes to provide some feedback on today's webinar.